Well, thank you guys for joining us. I forget when the last time this was done, which was a while ago, but I'm sure you guys all saw the panel and excited to ask questions. We're excited to answer them. So, my name is Jing. For those that don't know, I'm a brand manager here on Star Wars, and with us we have Chris, designer. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
knows
You
him,
guys
but
know I'm design manager, so.
yeah, I figured we'll just do a quick intro. So again, we thank you for taking the time out of your day to come talk to us and talk Star Wars. It's always fun for us. So I know we have 40 minutes. I know that we always have so many questions to get through, so we can definitely get started. And I'm just going to go down this order that I have here, and then we'll go back around for each round. So first one, James from Jedi. You seem surprised that that we're starting with you. James, take us away. Would love to hear your first question.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the panel. Really good to see so many cool stuff coming, as always. So a question from our readers is, what will be the first wave of mainline figures in plastic-free packaging for the Black Series? And when are those expected to ship, please?
Yeah, so the first for Star Wars is actually coming later this fall. I think we revealed them earlier this year as well. So they're coming probably later this fall, and I think there are some other figures that may have already started showing up on shelves.
Right. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bobby from Rebelscum.
Hey, morning,
Hi.
everybody. Good to see some familiar faces. James, great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you
Chris,
too.
always a pleasure. Thanks for having us once again. All right, so my first question is, what kind of things can we expect for the 20th anniversary of Clone Wars this upcoming year? I know yesterday we got a reveal with Arc Commander Havoc for the Vintage Collection. Are we going to see some more of that awesome carded Tartakovsky packaging like we saw in Black Series earlier this year? And I mean, are we getting some more awesome clones and droids in Black Series and the Vintage Collection?
Yeah, that was a big announcement. Obviously, next year is going to be huge. We have 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi and also a 20th anniversary of Clone Wars to celebrate. So it's a big year. We're very, very excited for it. Not to mention like everything else that we have coming down the pipeline. You just listed off a few of them, Bobby, and like the clone helmets was, definitely huge for us to sneak peek to you guys on the Star Wars Pulse panel, Hasbro Pulse panel. I can only share with you. You guys know we can't we can't tell you anything that hasn't been revealed. I can only share with you that more is coming. So we will definitely celebrate the 20th anniversary beyond a helmet and that one clone that you saw. So stay tuned, listen in to our panels and live streams, and our reveals, because we'd love to get a gauge from your excitement on everything else we have coming down the pipe.
Awesome. Can't wait to see what we get.
Oh, Rob.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, I want to talk about the top of mind right now is Andor for me. And with the Disney Plus series releasing on a weekly schedule, I'm curious how that affects not just like the development pipeline, like how much time do you have to develop a line, but also more interestingly, perhaps, is the marketing schedule, because each episode, and this applies to Marvel with She-Hulk, same thing. You're potentially being introduced to anything from new vehicles to new characters, which are for the most part meant to be a surprise. So how do you guys tie in a release schedule, whether it's waves or individual items, in marketing plans and design implementation on a weekly schedule in advance? I'm very curious about that versus a typical movie release.
Yeah, I mean, interesting question. I would say Disney Plus, we are so grateful for, because it brought us like The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Andor, like you mentioned, and Obi-Wan. So it really has changed the game, and it really is something that we have been so thankful for the partnership with Lucasfilm for. As you know, we've done Obi-Wan Wednesdays, and we've done like Mando Mondays, for example, where it kind of flowed into that weekly cadence, as you mentioned, on the unlike the weekly reveals. And so it really is something that we partner really closely with Lucasfilm in terms of what information we have, what information is in the line, what figures are in the line rather, and how to distribute that accordingly. That's not always like, it's not like it's every week, but we do try to keep that cadence with the partnership with Lucasfilm as closely as possible. So we talk to them ad nauseum. We talk to them every week. We thank them for that attention, because they are definitely sharing news with us and partnering with us, and we try to definitely hold hands on what makes sense for you guys to see.
Got it. Thanks.
Evan.
Hello there, and good morning, Chris and Jing. Thank you for doing this, you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I will get our longest question out of the way. It's not super long, but maybe it is. The new reveals showed that you're not done with recent media like The Bad Batch and the Book of Boba Fett, but it is hard not to notice that the Black Series is continuing to get significantly more new characters and fully newly tooled figures than the Vintage Collection. You've mentioned in the past that TVC focuses a bit more on the original trilogy and The Mandalorian, but there are plenty of TVC fans who also want figures from the new media while it's still new media. And the Black Series seems to have no issues bringing in plenty of fully newly tooled figures for the OT and Mando alongside full lineups from the all-new shows. The disparity is pretty discouraging to TVC fans, especially as the current quality in the line has never been better. Can you reassure us that you'll continue to release Vintage Collection figures from these series, even as they fade from the spotlight, such as Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, I mean, we will. And characters that resonate with fans are always characters we're going to go to. The difference between TVC and Black Series is big and complicated, and they're addressing different things. But TVC especially has such a huge, rich history of 3 3/4 inch figures in general, and not even TVC, but that scale for Hasbro and all the way back to Kenner. So I think with it, we're covering a much broader path and trying to address some of the deep cut characters that we know TVC fans love. I mean, we're those fans too. So we want to get out obscure characters that are still meaningful and old time asks to fans. I think we've revealed some of those recently that were big hits with fans. So it's finding that balance. And it's not that we're not doing new stuff and we're only doing old stuff. We're trying to do all of the stuff, and we're in this amazing time where every new show that hits adds more and more to we got to do this pile, and we're blessed that way, and that we've got such a huge runway of things to go to. So
Sure.
We'll get there. Just give us some time.
Thank you. Good to know.
Yeah. And you listed some of those examples, which, like Chris said, was well received by the community. So it's always good to hear the reactions and the feedback and what the requests are from the team, which you guys always are good at compiling and sharing as well. But from the fans rather. So keep on doing that, because we definitely want to hear from you.
Oh, always, we got you.
Do our job for us. Please tell us more. James, Jedi News.
Yeah, so this sort of links back to some of the questions that we've already had, but the development process has always roughly been 18 to 24 months from design to shelf. But obviously, with the influx of new shows, such as all the Disney Plus stuff, and some of that's being turned around so quickly, how has your design process changed? How have you had to adapt to that, especially with some of the other issues that we've had over the last couple of years, such as COVID and the shipping delays? So how has your internal processing changed to allow you to be more flexible, to bring things to us quicker?
There's not a short answer to that. Things have changed dramatically. I mean, we're faster now than we have ever been on developing product, but we're also facing unprecedented challenges for shipping and everything else. So even though I would say our development schedule is still roughly what it has always been, in that it's kind of 12 to 18 months in that range. flexes a little bit here and there, but I would say now, through all the changes we've established during COVID, all the efficiencies we found in working from home and technology advances we've gotten, the front end of that is compressed. So we can now develop product quicker, and the things we're still working to get over are the shipping delays and manufacturing delays because of COVID and just kind of the general state of the world now. That stuff has stretched out. So we're like, I think we're in a really good place for when the world kind of stabilizes at some point, we hope. And that back end can get back to what I'll say normal. I mean, I don't know what normal really is anymore, but if that kind of resets and gets back to what we were used to in the before times, then I think our overall schedule will compress, which will help everything. But and it's fun, like day to day, like how we do things changes. And like I said, overall we've gotten quicker at developing product, which is great because now the shows and stuff, Disney Plus shows, all the like everything that's coming down the pipeline, the development schedules for that have gotten shorter too. So like the difference between our development schedules and how fast a show can happen, that affects how we can get things to shelf in time with content. And trying to balance all of those things, we're just in a kind of giant game of pickup sticks right now as the world kind of reestablishes itself. But I think we're setting ourselves up for an amazing future. And with the partnership with Lucasfilm and Disney, I mean, that's never been stronger. And working around all those problems together as a big family has been great.
And you've even managed to, sorry, I'm not necessarily allowed to ask follow-ups, but you've even exceeded yourself on, so for example, on some of the pre-orders, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi retro figures that weren't necessarily going to ship till December, because everything else that happens, they shipped earlier, and they actually shipped pretty much in line with the series. So.
Right, yeah, and we're trying to do that stuff. I mean, as things get faster here and there, like we're certainly taking advantage of it, and we try and keep everybody updated. I mean, we for things like that, we have an estimated delivery date that we give when people pre-order things, because we don't want to promise too early and have to cancel orders, but also trying to keep it in the realm of expectations. So yeah, it's a fun time.
We've learned a lot in the past 2.5 years. That's the world, I'm sure, has as well. But we're adapting. We always adapt. Rebelscum, Bobby.
So my next question has to do with the upcoming 20th anniversary of, not 20th anniversary, 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So we got some really awesome reveals at Pulse Con, a lot of great VC reveals, especially the pipeline reveals are really exciting. That VC Endor bunker, I cannot wait. But with the Black Series, we got Wave 1, which was a lot of re-releases, plus the exciting reveal of Wicket. We're really excited to get Wicket. Can we expect more new sculpts like Wicket? Like, for example, with the 40th of Empire, we got the Hoth Rebel Soldier. Can we kind of expect or hope to see something like that in the way of an Endor Rebel Soldier and more new Return of the Jedi sculpts? I know there's already a bunch of Return of the Jedi sculpts in the Black Series currently, but I don't know, what are we kind of hoping to see in the future?
Well, we don't have anything. You guys know the deal here. We can't talk about anything we haven't announced. So just stay tuned. I think you guys will enjoy the year.
Yeah, we haven't. I said this in the last interview. We haven't even hit 2023 yet. We haven't even hit the year of celebration yet. So there's definitely more news we want to share with you. If and just ask you guys to stay tuned and definitely pay attention to everything that we have coming down.
Yeah, you know us toy collectors. We're always hungry for the next figure.
That's great. Keep up that hunger. Rob.
Yeah, actually, just kind of building off of the talk about the anniversaries. When it comes to the 20th and 40th anniversary of ROTJ, or I mentioned Andor earlier, planning for a show that's coming out in the coming months or year, how much lead time do you guys get on the designs to start prepping a line?
And it depends. Some shows, I mean, Andor is one of those amazing shows that so much was shot on location. It had different lead times than like The Mandalorian. So some of that reference just doesn't exist earlier. So lead times varied depending on the production. And to James's question earlier, like some of that, we work with Lucasfilm to figure out how we can capitalize on the timing of reference as best as possible. And that's why we're trying to condense our development times so much, is because we want to be able to respond quicker to things. It's not always possible because like now, I mean, technology is amazing. The fact that the volume and things like that Disney and the teams have developed, I mean, a show can go through production faster than we can make toys for it. So I mean, there are balancing acts that way. So we try and work as much in advance as we can, and Lucasfilm does a great job of helping us with that, sharing as much as they can, concept art as soon as they have it, and it's
Got it.
like that doesn't happen without an amazing partnership like we have. And we keep saying that word partnership, and I throw it out there. And I don't throw it out there lightly because it's an amazing union of our two groups, and none of this would be possible without that.
Okay, just to follow up on that quickly, what has been the shortest turnaround? Like, how quickly can you turn around certain characters' designs, as an example?
Well, I would say Grogu is an amazing example of how fast the team can make product and get it to shelf. That was a lot of long hours and late nights for our team. I'm sure it was the same on Lucasfilm side. I mean, our approval processes and stuff, we were doing things in real time. Lucasfilm people were coming out to look at product on site and help us with approvals. That when we need to, there are a lot of levers we can pull to make things happen really fast. It's not without cost, and is something we have to balance with how often we can do that, because it's and I don't mean financial cost alone, it's manpower cost, it's all of those things. And every time we do something, it costs somewhere. And finding the right balance and times to use those sorts of things for super fast reaction. So
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, I think
I love process. So like you're asking my questions.
You love process, and you're all about like family.
It is. I've been in the Star Wars family for 30 years doing different things, and
yeah, you have.
People across the board and they started as work acquaintances and have become deep friends and connections. So, and I think that just speaks to how everyone works together so well.
Yeah. It's a family. All right, Evan.
All right, this question starts off with a look, sir, droids. Fans would love to see droids like Ned B, 1-Jack, and B2EMO in the vintage collection, but articulated 3 3/4-inch versions have only been offered via Disney Parks in their Droid Factory line. TVC still occasionally offers droids like IG-11 from The Mandalorian, R2 SHW for Merrick's X-Wing, and various flavors of R2-D2. Do you and the Parks team coordinate on which droid figures to release in which line so there's no crossover? And if Disney Parks offers a droid character, should TVC fans just assume that you won't offer your own version?
Yeah, it's a good question. We actually got that earlier as well. So we partner closely with Lucasfilm on all levels, including the Parks team and obviously our Lucasfilm licensor team, for example. So we are definitely close partners, and we get on calls weekly, bi-weekly, etc. So it's definitely always a conversation. Just because they have done something doesn't limit Star Wars from Hasbro from doing the same thing. So it's always a possibility for our items to come out separately from their items as well. You know, we love Disney parks. We get excited when their items come out as well, and we're fans, and we love to go to parks as well and shop. But yeah, it doesn't mean we as Hasbro won't also come out with some things in the future, but obviously nothing to announce. But it's always something we balance on our side.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, going back up, James.
So staying with droids, you mentioned in the live stream that we're getting an all-new R2-D2 in the Black Series, and I wanted to ask whether that will address some of the scale issues which we know that the current astromech droids do have in the line.
Yes, flat out yes. That's one of the principal adjustments on him. There's a lot of other fun things that we'll get into as we can actually reveal that. But some of you guys may know I'm an R2 fan.
Just
I've done a lot of study there. So this R2 is deeply based in accuracy.
Awesome.
Measurements off of real droids from my time in the archives and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah. Chris builds R2s. Like, this is right up his alleyway. I'm sure you guys know, as fans will know. So we're really excited about that one to come out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bobby. Yeah, thanks, James. Bobby.
All right. So we've talked about process a few times here, production run times. But let's get to know you guys a little bit better. Chris, you said you love processes. What is your favorite part about developing a new figure or vehicle or playset in either the VC, Black Series line, whatever you guys produce? What is your favorite part of producing that new piece?
It's tough because it sounds
Everything.
it sounds trite to say that, but the whole process is fun. Like I said, like we work ridiculous long hours. Jing and I are constant. Like I think we were online getting emails way beyond the time we should be getting emails last night. But we get up early to go back to work. I mean, I'm there before most people are the next day because I'm excited to do it again. I'll pick vehicles as a fun example because I do primarily vehicle stuff on TVC. The Razor Crest, like that HasLab, is an amazing process, and getting into, for me, diving into the reference, really studying the work that Lucasfilm designers had done early on with that, seeing how they translated that into execution of the ship for the show, and then figuring out how we can translate that real version of the ship into a product, and making adjustments that make sense for a toy that bring more play and excitement to that, and displayability, all those things. I think that adjustment phase from real to product, just conceptually, is a very fun part of what I do. So if I'm going to pick one thing, I'm going to say that, but every part of the process has little nuggets of fun like that for me.
Yeah, we're lucky enough that we get to call this a job, but we get to live it day to day, and, like, you know, see things and experience things and talk about things that are just something that we would do casually. You know, it's like coffee talk, but like all day. So it's definitely really, really fun to be in this world. All right, Rob.
Yeah, me again with more Andor questions because it's my favorite. As we approach the back half of the season on this weekly schedule, there's still a lot of weeks to come. Can we expect more item or line reveals throughout the season, or will that come in the future post release?
Yeah, we can't share anything that hasn't been revealed.
Oh, that's fair.
Our corporate line in general. But yeah, I mean, we shared some amazing things for the launch, and we're able and lucky to be able to work with Lucasfilm to get those key characters out for you guys. Like, Andor himself, for example, on across both Vintage and Black Series. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that just continue to stay tuned, but there's nothing we can share.
Gotcha. The reason I asked is because we helped debut the Vel Sartha reveal, like just in time with the episode where she was debuted. So we know there's a lot more
Cool.
characters coming. So we're all, looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right, Evan.
Yes. Quick question. So at last year's Pulse Con, you revealed that the TVC specialty repack waves would finally be on their own SKU, starting with the wave that included Ahsoka, Padawan, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mace. Since then, we haven't seen any more dedicated specialty repack waves, but we did just get pipeline reveals of several Return of the Jedi repacks. Is it too early to say if these will be in the separate SKU that was created for this past year's specialty wave, or will they be mixed into the main line or something else entirely?
Yeah, so they are mixed into the main line. I think there has been conversations in the past about specialty SKUs getting its own 5 digits so that it doesn't block pegs, for example. But I think these specific items our fans haven't had for a long time, and they want, like, our hardcore fans are asking for these. So we wanted these to be out, the ones that we just revealed to be out or pipelined to be out in conjunction with the main line. So that will be on the mainline peg. That doesn't mean that's always the strategy going forward. It's something that we'll constantly evaluate and look at as we approach 24 and beyond on what the right mix of items and SKUs and 5 digits are. So
Cool. Thank you.
yeah. Okay, going back up to the front, James.
But we are absolutely thrilled that you're coming back to conventions outside of the US for the first time since COVID. So it's a long time coming. And you'll be coming to MCM Comic Con in London at the end of this month. So very, very soon. So looking forward to that. Does that give you an opportunity to bring the selfie series potentially to other countries such as the UK? Because obviously we can't get it at the moment and we'd all very much like it. And I know that you were able to bring some printers to San Diego Comic Con to allow some people there to experience it. So I wonder whether us here in London might get that opportunity too, please.
Well, first off, thank you for asking about selfie for sure. My headphones may go out of battery soon, so I may have to switch. But yeah, so thank you for asking for selfie. We're so excited about that in general. Like, we think it's such an awesome thing to bring to the fans and to everyone at home. Right now, it's only available in the app. And so that is why it's only available in the US. But we are certainly gonna look into what that means for future expansion to make it more accessible globally on a broader scale, not just those going to London Comic Con. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just let me know and then I'll switch over. So yeah, for that one for London Comic Con, it will not be present there, unfortunately, but we're looking at that future broader horizon. Which, I'm glad to hear you're going there, James, but I think you were also at SCCC, right?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't. You were at Celebration.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Good to know there's demand. We're going to do as best as we can to make that broader.
All right. Thank you. Is there a timescale for that yet or not yet?
Nothing that we can share.
Okay.
No.
All right. No problem.
All right. Moving on, Bobby.
We're gonna piggyback on James's selfie series question, actually. But also I'm gonna open up with, you guys haven't gotten it in the UK yet? You got to get that to those guys. It's a lot of fun. It's so cool. I got mine in. We should have our review up on the website, I think sometime in the next week, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, selfie series. So right now we have a decent amount of options between other brands, but we're not here about other brands. We're here about Star Wars. We have 4 or 5 figures to choose from right now. Are there plans to, as selfie series adapts and evolves, are there plans to add more characters to the roster, like more army builder like characters, so people could also be a rebel fleet trooper or a clone trooper or something? And are is there plans to maybe bring the selfie series down to 3/3 scale for my TVC fans out there?
Wow, we just launched and we're getting more requests. What more can we ask for? I'll definitely let the Hasbro Pulse team know. Like, this is great to hear from the community. And we think it's super fun too. Like, my daughter walks around with my figure and puts it in her backpack. All the time. So I would say, we just launched, so we're definitely like staying tuned and keeping a close ear to all of the other brands and ours on how everything is doing, what the demand is there. We do have 4, and we think those are some like core 4 key characters. Like, I think so many of our group chose to be Mandalorians, and I was like, I want to be the classic stormtrooper. So I think these are like, core characters that we had to get out there. But good to know that there's requests for expansions and a request for additional characters and scales and things like that. Like, nothing we can share, nothing in the pipe for us to communicate out, but for sure we'll definitely keep a close eye, and we hope for the best for all the selfies, because we think it's great too, and we're going to gift it to all our it's going to be in our Christmas stockings for our family pretty soon. I think we just love the idea.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, I want to circle back to someone mentioned, might have been you, Bobby, the Wicket figure, which I the new sculpt. I love that. My question is about sort of the Pulse Con Star Wars items in general that were announced, or any sort of recent Black Series or vintage item. Which, from a design perspective, was the most difficult to, like, from the ground up, to actually design and implement and get approved?
You're on mute, Chris.
I'm trying to think. It's a hard question, because they all have their own challenges. The team's amazing though. Eric and Emily on TVC and Black Series. Like, I don't know. Some of the more mechanical things. I mean, we pipelined the bunker playset. That thing is because it's a buildup of pieces and that sort of thing. Like, those more mechanical ones present different challenges sometimes. I don't know that I would classify them necessarily as harder than doing a figure, but we have systems in place to do figures, kind of, not that they're a formula, but there's kind of a way through that everybody understands. So doing something new and finding new pathways to do things and to work those can be a different challenge. Some things, I mean, the Wicket figure for Black Series, I mean, he's a much smaller character. So it's finding ways to add features to him and to do the articulation at that size can be a different sort of challenge. I think there's not a standout one, I guess, is the answer for one that's harder or has a special challenge. They're just each little challenge is on their own, but that's what we love, is finding our path through those.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Evan.
Yes. So some TVC figures lately have been getting removable helmets, and some have been getting separate swappable heads and helmets. Can you walk us through the decision-making process on which figures will receive which method, as well as features such as articulated rangefinders? Lately, it's been working out pretty well, but boy, that helmet on Axe Woves, to say the least, is a serious whopper.
We were just talking about Axe at the office yesterday. I think that the decision between whether it's a swappable head or removable helmet or no helmet or no head, I mean, those things are all the things we work through as we're developing the product, and whether the character primarily shows. I mean, Axe is one of those ones where we see a lot of time with him as the character with the helmet off. We see a lot of that. So for him, like, he does put the helmet on, but it's rare. So that was one where we prioritized the face, but still wanted to have the removable helmet, because there's fun scenes of him holding it, of him putting it on. So it's just, there's never a like this is the way we're going to do it. It's always kind of a discussion about how to get there and how to do it the most justice. Sometimes, I mean, as you guys know, like you either have to shrink the head or blow the helmet up to make things work. And that comes into those priorities too. I mean, is the priority to make him look right with the helmet off? And that's more where we leaned on that figure because it's so much about that actor. So that meant his helmet's a little bit bigger than it might otherwise be. But still, we try and make those wall thicknesses as absolute minimal as we can. Sometimes that means with the minimal wall thickness that the helmet can distort a little bit more in the package. So I think you see things like that show up. But yeah, it's like I said, there's not a like this is the way we always do this. It's always on a case by case basis.
Well, to really quick follow up, I know I think Vader was pipelined without his helmet on, and I was just curious if that's one that will have swappable heads or if it will be a removable Vader helmet. If you could say.
I shouldn't, but I did earlier, so I will tell you guys as well. That one we are not doing swappable heads.
Okay.
All right. Well, I know we're basically out of time, but we're a small group, so we can do speed round one more to try to get questions in there. James, kick us off.
Yeah, it's just 2 quick questions. One will Havoc have a removable helmet? And the second point is, I know you're coming to London. I know there's going to be a Hasbro panel, and Star Wars is on that panel. Will there be new reveals and things at the panel?
Yes and yes.
So Havoc does have a removable helmet. Okay, thank you.
Bobby.
All right. So first of all, Chris, Jing, thank you so much for having us on this morning. It has been an absolute pleasure to get to spend this time with you guys. Anytime we get to hang out with Hasbro, we always have a lot of fun. James, it's great seeing you. Always a pleasure, my friend. And Evan and Rob, it was great meeting you guys this morning. All right. So my last question for both of you is more of a fun one. What is your favorite show or movie that you have worked on or are currently working on so far that we know about, shows we know about? And you don't have to say Andor because that's the current thing going right now. It can be whatever you like the most. What has been your favorite one to work on?
I'll start quickly. I've always liked the prequels. I think it's just like what I grew up on more. And it's become more popular too. So the prequels, Clone Wars, like that whole universe, I just think it's so creative and that world building behind all the scenes and everything like that. Like I love it. So I think that to me, I'm partial to that.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, the easy answer is the original trilogy. I mean, that's what I grew up on. I mean, like so many people did. But I think the more recent entertainment that excites me as an original trilogy fan, I dearly love what Lucasfilm did with Rebels in that show. So to see some Rebels characters like turning into live action stuff, that's super exciting. And because I personally think Rebels is one of the most amazing things that's happened in Star Wars animation in a long time. I mean, not that, and like that's a tough bar or a line to draw because it's like, okay, we're here and we're here, but I do really love Rebels and how that played out. So
Awesome.
there you go.
Thank you.
Rob.
Yeah. First, Bobby, thank you. I love you. For my question, that's a good point you bring up because there's so many, like with Rebels coming to live action, but also the sheer amount of animated series and live action series getting at Disney Plus. How do you guys balance like choosing a line of characters that mixes what you said, Jing, like you're getting prequel characters, original trilogy characters, but also adaptations of recently animated characters and the new characters all coming? How do you balance out a year's worth of product and try to address all the increasing amount of verticals and I'm sure future stuff that's going to be added too?
Difficultly. That's even the word. Yeah, I mean, we want it all, just like the fans do. We're constantly like figuring out and trying to get a pulse on what makes the most sense. But it's tough. It's like choosing, your favorite cat. Like it's hard. But yeah, no, we partner closely with Lucasfilm. We try to find that right balance, and we listen to you guys and your reactions when we hear like, oh, we want more of this or that. So there's always going to be demand, and we just try to do what's right. So keep telling us what you like and what you want to see.
Yeah, and like we've said, like our development timelines are 12 to 18 months. That's not when we start talking about what figures we're going to do. Like we have to, we think so far in advance, trying to figure that stuff out. So it's an ongoing conversation and in partnership with Lucasfilm to figure that. So
yeah, really quickly, Evan, to close us out.
I'll jump in on the Rebels train really quick that you guys are talking about. I'm glad to hear that you guys love it so much. As you are probably aware, the Vintage Collection has absolute zero in terms of Rebels presence, whereas Black Series has the complete team. And I know they place very highly on community wish lists. They're constantly very highly placed on our March Madness bracket. They were very popular when proposed as a HasLab figure pack in our own community discussions. So I was just curious if Rebels and TVC can, will be, or already is a priority or a thought for the Vintage Collection moving forward.
You know how we have to answer this one, right?
Yes.
We have nothing to announce.
No.
Just mostly
like
wanted
said,
to make sure you guys are aware we want them.
Yes,
no,
we are
March
fully aware
Madness.
you want them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
those things that the fan community does informs us on so many levels. So thank you so much for constantly doing that and being engaged in the community and fostering that. So you guys for fostering that in the community. It's definitely a forum that we tap and we pay attention to. So thanks for doing that.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you
All
guys.
right. Well, thank you guys. I know that was coming in quick, but it's always good to chat with all of you. And hope to see you guys in convention soon. And James, glad that you're going to London. That's awesome. So
On my doorstep, so it's
yeah, I
be a
know,
bit
that's
silly
true.
if I didn't go, but
That's true. You have to go.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.